When it happens, it will be the most catastrophic event ever in North America. There's a cost involved, and you can either pay it up front when it's relatively cheap, or you can pay it after the fact when you're trying to clean up a destroyed city.
It's not much of a secret. Eventually, the Pacific Northwest is going to be hit by a record-setting earthquake.
Well, if you just say, how often does Cascadia have any big earthquake? It's about 250 years. It's been 315 since the last one.
We've been building some of our biggest cities basically on top of a fault line. It's called the Cascadia Subduction Zone, one tectonic plate slipping under another.
The classic way to depict this, say your right hand is the subducting plate and your knuckles are the North American plate, and it just sort of buckles as the plates come together, and eventually you get to the breaking point.
The plates will slip, sending a potentially 100-foot-tall tsunami miles into the coastline. But major cities like Portland and Seattle are inland, where the real danger is from the earthquake shaking, and we don't seem to be doing a whole lot to prepare. Luckily, we don't have to look far for a good example. There's one right across the ocean. Japan.
They've been hammered by earthquake after earthquake after earthquake for 1,000 years, and they don't screw around with this stuff. In Japan, they have a warning system that it goes to people's cell phones, it goes onto the TV networks.
Those warnings also trigger shutdowns. Things like bullet trains and elevators automatically come to a stop. Japan also has seismic building codes, so in a big earthquake, what causes most of the damage is a tsunami on the coast, not the shaking.
People are used to just sitting there at lunch and an earthquake happens, and they'll look around and the earthquake's over and they just go back to eating lunch. So we're a very long way from that now.
A while back, San Francisco's chief building inspector was walking around, asking folks on the street if they knew anything about the next earthquake.
And the response he got from people was, oh, it's going to be terrible, and it's going to take like all afternoon to clean up. I look at their building and go, well, actually, no, your building's probably going to collapse. And they seem stunned that this hasn't been taken care of by somebody.
We might not have a lot of say on our brick offices, but Chris says you could start preparing a wood frame house in a weekend.
You bolt it to the foundation, you strap the water heater down so it doesn't burn your house down, and then you store some food and water for basically camping in place in your house for a couple of weeks.
The work to prepare our cities, on the other hand, is barely getting started. What we've done so far doesn't nearly match the scale of the problem.
I think one of our mistakes is that we tend to think of ourselves as a very advanced culture, and we can just reinvent the wheel and come up with some new stuff to solve these problems. But I think we just have to buck up and start paying the bill in little increments instead of all at once. And no matter how determined you might be, that's going to be a big job, if it ever happens.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.